Welcome to the OFX podcast. As promised, we said we were going to break up our episodes where we give you some interviews, and separately we do our what used to be our preamble with Beth and I, so that you'll get to not have such long episodes, shorter ones, easier to take in. So today we have one of our members of Team OFX, a guy we all love, and who's probably one of the most well-liked guys in OCR, and now is becoming one of the most accomplished guys in OCR, one of Canada's best hybrid athletes. Here goes. Austin Azar.
Right in.
Yeah, because like Beth is not here. She is currently on the way to High Rocks
Ooh, in Chicago.
in Chicago. Yes. She's running her first pro wave since her first pro wave, which didn't go so well. So
Okay,
a little bit of
nice.
redemption. A little bit of
We're
redemption.
to tune in and watch some of the event. I imagine they're going to do coverage for both the. There's the Elite 15, and then they have the Pro Wave after that.
I
But
think
hopefully
they're
they cover both.
I think honestly, I think they're just doing the men's and women's Elite 15.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah,
from what it sounds like, the Pro Wave is going to be stacked too.
a lot of good people in those pro waves. Like names that like Colin Stiefer. Who else did I hear was in there? I can't remember. There was, but I just remember hearing a bunch of really good names in the pro wave. I'm kind of surprised. Well, in a way, I'm surprised. In a way, I'm not surprised that you're there or not there.
That not there.
Yeah,
The week after World's Toughest Mudder.
dude, Chris would do it.
I think Isaac is going to be there.
Yeah. But he only did like what, like 90 miles.
Only 90
Yeah,
miles.
so he was cutting back. This was a taper week. Or maybe we should do this whole thing like, well, hold on, very professional, like your 2023 World's Toughest Mudder champion, Austin Azar. There you go. That's as
That's
professional as I
crazy.
get.
Nice.
How you feeling?
Oh man, I don't that whole weekend is still kind of sinking in. Still kind of can't believe it. Um, but yeah, I felt pretty wrecked the entire week, to be honest. Pretty just overall fatigued. I'm not too sore. I was sore for a couple of days, and like everything feels pretty good. I'm just like overall, everything just feels fatigued.
Well,
But
even your
been
mind,
taking it easy though. I've done nothing except go for a couple of walks and did some yoga.
even your mind, like even your head to go through that, it just takes a while to to get it all out and play. Like, I mean, anytime you have a big race, you always got that post race, not depression, but like that drop. And then to go from one that is so epic. And I did WTM before, not to the extent that you did, but even through what I went through, where it was like for the next week, you're kind of weird and a little bit off. And then to the extent you did 105 miles, man, that's got to make you a little loopy.
I was farther than I've ever gone. And yeah, finished. My goal was to get through the 24 hours without crashing at the end. Because I've gotten through WTM and like was technically a finisher of it. But I was finishing like the 20 to 22 hours and never made it the full
Mhm.
24. When I hit 100 miles before, I was completely dead at the end, like completely dead. And like this time I felt good. I was running at the end trying to get to the finish line to go up for 110, but didn't quite make it there in time.
The one you're talking, so 20, it was 2016, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah.
You went out there and you were battling with Trevor, and because this was, for me, this was just getting into OCR at that point, right? I was just learning. So I watched that video. That one was one of the ones that convinced me to try WTM.
Oh, no way.
I was watching that and then watching Atkins and Albin chase the doubles and you guys, and so that was the one that got me to go. And I remember sitting there and I remember you at the end, and I'm sure they made it a little more dramatic than it was. I mean, this is TV, this is CBS, but pretty much is like you found the smallest man on the course to carry you around for the last lap.
That was Van Tran. He pretty
Was it
much
Van
saved my
Tran? I
life
didn't know
too,
it
I
was Van
think.
Tran.
Yeah, that was Van Tran. Well, I might have been dead if it wasn't for him because at like the very last, like 100 meters from the finish, there was a cliff jump.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm hobbling up to that cliff jump. I had basically fully crashed, could barely walk, could barely talk. And I'm hobbling up to the cliff. The volunteer there was really worried that I was going to jump off. He's like, "You're not going to be able to swim. You're going to drown." But the penalty for the cliff was like 3/4 of a mile around. And I'm like, there's no way I'm doing 3/4 of a mile. So I was about to jump off. And then Van Tran comes up. The volunteer must have convinced him, like, yeah, you got to carry this guy around. And so Van Tran helped and basically like carried me that penalty loop and then right to the finish there at the end.
Well, he's a great guy. Man, I love watching Van Tran do Deca when he does. He is like the best box overs. That guy just like flies, man.
Oh yeah, he's so speedy.
He's got great agility. So this year, so most of the year that we've talked and stuff, you've been focusing on like high rocks and doing some hybrid stuff. I wasn't even 100% sure you were going to WTM. And then all of a sudden you win it, and I'm like, were you even training for this? Like, was it even a thought process?
I mean, I every year I want to do at least one big ultra.
Yeah.
It's something that I love doing, and I was planning to do one in August out west in the Rockies, and then that trip to Europe for work came up, and it overlapped with that ultra, so I couldn't do that ultra. And then as the I wasn't planning, or after last year's World's Toughest Mudder didn't go the way I had hoped it would go, and I always knew I was going to go back and felt like I had unfinished business, and so I was originally thinking to go back to World's Toughest next year, but given that I couldn't do that ultra that I wanted to do, I had done basically like a solo Grand Canyon rim to rim ultra adventure on my own, but I was like, kind of wanted to do an ultra race. So ended up jumping into World's Toughest Mudder and going for that this year.
Good call.
Yeah.
So I mean, I watched it through the night and I was thinking a couple of things and I was watching you do well. I think one of the reasons, and I mean, not being there, but one of the reasons that jumped out to me during the night that you were doing well was because penalty loops were so nasty and you were not inclined to fail very many obstacles. Do you think that made a big difference for you? Like, I don't, because I mean, I know you probably didn't fail very much, but the guys behind you, I'm not quite sure how they would have done. So, do you think it played a big part in it?
It was compared to last year, it was a huge part of it. There were some penalty loops last year that were almost as short as the obstacle itself.
Well, and they were
There's
goofy as shit. They were horrible. I thought it was
and
terrible.
some of them were goofy. They were
Yeah.
goofy, but they were like, some of the goofy ones were exhausting, like that
Yeah.
bouncy ball one.
Yeah.
But some of them were fairly short, and like some of the like Cargonet ones that take 20, 30 seconds to go across, there was like a 20 or 30-second penalty where I remember at one point Mark Gaudette, me and him got to that obstacle at the same time, and I went across it, and then he was ahead of me coming out of the penalty.
Yeah.
So they definitely fixed up the penalties, but some of them were very, very long. I failed two obstacles, both of them on the same lap. One of them was the grappler and had like at least half a mile, really long penalty for that one. And then the other was one of the rigs near the end that had another like felt like at least half a mile penalty. Both of them, yeah, really long. And then some of the other penalties look really long as well.
Do you think they're right or was it too much? And the thing I saw
Um,
some of them, yeah, go ahead. Do you think they were right or were they too long and too much? Because a lot of them had something to do as well on it.
yeah, I'm maybe a little bit shorter would have been better, but I do like the longer penalties. I mean, it definitely encourages you to give it everything on the obstacles and try your best to make it through them. But to a point, I think having a penalty that's longer than like 10 minutes or something like that, that's pretty long.
Yeah. Now 2017? Did you go to 2017
I did as a relay.
as a
Did the
relay?
relay.
Okay. That
That's right. They had I think it was Funky Monkey where they had the Arctic Enema and that big loop.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was like 3/4 of a mile long.
Yeah. So the two penalty loops I did at this one were about that long.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
so to me, that was in my mind the best setup. That one particular penalty might have been a bit much, but the rest of them I thought were pretty good in distance.
Yeah.
I would
And
love.
I mean, for a big obstacle, kind of like that Funky Monkey one, I thought that was okay of a penalty to do one long like that, but something like like the grappler,
Yeah.
which you're already at that obstacle for a while to do it. Like sometimes you had to wait your turn because people take
Mhm.
3 tries for it.
Yeah.
And each try takes a while. Like you throw it, you got to bring it back, coil it up. You're waiting for at least a minute per person, it felt like. And then after you fail, then you got to go do the penalty. So you might be at that obstacle for 15 minutes.
Oh,
I mean, my lap where I failed 2 obstacles, I think during the night, my laps were like maybe like 110 to 115 ish on average. And that one lap was like 135 or something like that, maybe.
yeah. And that's a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Yeah, the grappler one, I haven't never got a chance to do it. I always thought it was kind of cool, but I get what you're saying with the backup. I did like, I think, and it was probably 2016, where didn't they have it on Everest? And you could pick like one side, you could go up Everest normal, or you could do the grappler when no one was there.
Oh, did they? I can't
I think so. I remember seeing
remember. I
that
think we were
somewhere.
just doing like the normal run up part of Everest, but I think maybe you're right. They had an option where you could do the grappler up it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
because
it's
and
a
that
it's a cool obstacle though. I like it.
I do too. It's very different. It's very different. But when you say with the backup, I don't like backups. That can be frustrating, especially if, like you say, you end up waiting 15 minutes kind of deal. Um,
Yeah, and the other thing too is if you have like the obstacle bypass band, but I didn't realize this. You have to use it before you get to the obstacle. So I did my 3 tries, went up to the
oh,
volunteer, and then I was like, I don't want to do the penalty. Can I just give you my band? And then he's like, Nope. Once you attempt it, you got to go do the penalty. So I was like, Oh no! So I had to go back down and then go around the penalty.
good job on that volunteer. They knew the rules and they slapped you
Yeah,
around.
there you
Perfect.
go. Yeah.
I like that.
I
I
mean,
like
that's yeah. You did exactly what it's supposed to do. I didn't realize that as soon as you attempt, you're committed.
Yeah, well, I have a theory that all you freaking top end elite people never read the rules, so we gotta stick it to you sometimes. So you went, like I said, so you went down there, you set up. Were you confident going in? Like you wanted to go through the night. Did you think if you went all the way through that you would crack 100? You've hit 100 before, but did you think you could crack it
um,
higher than 105? It was a good course
well,
for speed.
the course itself was good for speed. The obstacles itself weren't. There was a lot of
Mhm.
very time consuming obstacles. Just like the barbed wire crawl took forever. There's another crawl that took quite a while, and I think time wise spent on obstacles was a lot higher at this course. But just the running in the course itself was pretty runnable. I think the lowest elevation gain they've had per 5 mile loop.
Mhm.
So the first part of the course, everyone was flying, and then yeah, as the obstacles opened up, it was quite a bit slower, I think, than other courses. I think in Vegas, I knocked out in like late in the race, close to a 1 hour lap, and here I think there was no way I'd be able to knock out a 1 hour lap late in the game. But in terms of confidence going into the race, I uh, like yes and no. I'd say it was the most. I mean, overall, I'd say it's the most confident I felt going into it, but also probably the least amount of ultra training that I've been doing. But just in terms of like mentality and just how durable and good my body felt, I felt confident from that perspective. But in terms of like my ultra running legs, I didn't really know. I yeah, I hadn't done a ton of really long runs throughout the year. I did early in the year that big Grand Canyon run, and then throughout the summer, I was only my longest runs were maybe like I had a few 10 to 15 mile runs, 20 to 25K. I was used to speaking to Americans, I guess, about running now.
Ah, yeah.
um, but yeah, I did one like 3 hour run with some obstacles. There's a at the military base. There's an obstacle course, so I was doing some loops on that, and I did 3 hours of that and felt really good. So I felt confident going in, but I mean, off 3 hours going into a 24-hour race, it's hard to say. I really didn't know how my legs were going to hold up in the back half of the race.
So clearly, the key to winning world's toughest mudder is a lot of walking lunges, weighted pull-ups, and wall balls. That's how we
Apparently, all
train.
that stuff really helped. I think that, trying to do that lunge mile actually really helped.
How's that going anyway?
Good. I mean, I haven't done an official attempt. I just wanted to see how holding that pace would be. But yeah, that I think I'll do a crack, like an official crack at it. I was able to hold the pace at once for 15 minutes, and then it like my legs were definitely feeling like they're blowing up. So I don't know. It'd be close. I want to try.
What is it? So it's walking lunges for 1 mile, right?
Yeah, 1 mile walking lunges. You're allowed to put your hands on your knees for it, which you can go a little bit faster, but it still burns a lot. Um, and yeah, the record was is 22:50.
And is this like an official Guinness record? Do you think you can actually like
Yeah.
it still blows my mind that Guinness will do records like this and they won't recognize one for the Murph. I still don't get that one, but
Or oh, it's not in there. I mean, they have so many
no.
records in there, and some of them are
And
kind
some of
of
them
out
are
there.
just wacky, right? Some of them are tough
Yeah.
100-ton loops, but it's yeah, I'm surprised. I was so surprised they couldn't do it. But then again, it was Hunter that tried to get it done, and he probably just yelled and screamed at them, and they didn't accept it.
Yeah.
But so we with going to WTM, would you like? I'm trying to feel like how this one clicked into you because what was a surprise? You weren't surprised to do well. Were you surprised to win?
Oh, yeah, definitely surprised to win. I mean, I didn't really know who was all going to show up. I just went in with a simple goal of finishing strong and moving well the whole time. I wasn't looking at the leaderboard at all. I was just knocking out laps, trying to take as short a pit stop as I could, and just keep going, just keep moving and talking to people on course and having a good time. And I think it's a race where if you start thinking too much about the leaderboards and where you are, what position you're in, how far away you are from the lead, it's just it wears on you mentally a lot. And I think that messes up with a lot of people's races. And if you're just only thinking about, if you just go in with like, I just want to get as far as I can and push at the pace I feel like the entire time, you're gonna run your best race. And so that's what I was focused on. I didn't I didn't even know until like Chris Mendoza and DJ and Ian were like coming in and helping crew for me, which was amazing. They were awesome. But then they started as I come into pit, they were just telling me some things and where I was, and I was like half listening, but half just like, okay, I don't want to think too much about that. I just want to keep going.
That's awesome. So when we talked before, your prime, you were focused on trying to get in the Elite 15, focused on a lot of stuff like that. And then you did this. Does your focus go back to that now, or where do you go from here?
Heck yeah, I set a goal to break 60 minutes in High Rocks. I'm still going to do that.
Well, you do have, as far as I know, you have the top Canadian time. So you have the top Canadian time. You won Grit Games, right? You won World's Toughest Mudder. This has been a pretty banner year for you. The only thing we didn't see is we didn't see you Spartan race this year.
No. Well, I did the 3K, the 1 3K down in
Yes, you did the
Pennsylvania.
1 3K.
That was the
All right.
only. Yeah, I wanted to try the 3K out.
What do you,
Um,
as a quick jump, what do you think about them bringing the Elite Series back next year?
are they? So it's not a 3K series.
Not a 3K. It's a 3 race series, one sprint, one
Okay.
super, one beast.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, a little bit of logic.
I like it.
So for our Canadian one, they just announced it. You're going to be having Red Deer, Kelowna, and Tremblant
Okay. Awesome.
as part of the series. And then I think that ends up with, then there'll be like a North American Championship, which I think will be in Seattle.
Okay.
All right. And then,
Nice. I like it.
yeah. So it's a little bit different. It seems very logical. It seems very logical. So
I'm glad they're doing that. The 3K was really fun. I liked it more than I thought I would, but it didn't have quite the same feeling to the old series that Spartan did.
the 3K, the problem was they jammed it. They took everything else away and made it. If they had made it an add-on, I think it would have been good. Like if they had taken, and it would have been what I would have liked to see. Don't put it Friday night for starters, because that's just a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Make it Saturday after the regular races are done. Don't make it 3K. Make it one round of 1K qualifiers and then the top 15 race. Another 1K. Don't make them do 3K. Make them do another 1K. Because the
Yeah.
qualifiers were the most exciting part.
Yeah.
everybody was close. The gap was there. If a mistake was made, you paid for it, that kind of thing. And you guys would still be fresh to, you'd have enough jam to run it. You wouldn't be so exhausting like that. That 3K, although it was only 3K, but when you were dealing with so many obstacles or crawls like that or whatever, it was exhausting. The 1K, you guys could have flew.
Yeah, agreed. And don't make the barbed wire crawl like 30% of the race too.
Yeah, yeah, and take the stupid carbs off, for Christ's sake. Yeah. Yeah. So what's the next event then?
Well, I want to go for another High Rocks. That's what I'm
Mhm.
thinking. And also, after having finished World's Toughest, I might be going to the 8 hour race over in Saudi in February.
Nice, nice.
So
Then
looking at
there's
that.
there's a lot of stuff with that to unpack. Like the prize money is huge, right? Or so they say. Like I'm not exactly sure the breakdown, but I'm hearing something along the lines of 50 grand for the winner and something like that, and a deeper pay. So it's just not like a winner take all. So it's hard
Yeah,
to turn away, that's for sure.
yeah. I think they're announcing it soon, but I think it'll just be a lot of people coming together for that, like the biggest competition that OCR has seen in a while. So, um,
Me,
yeah, it's really exciting.
me personally, from a fan perspective, I like the 8 hour.
I think so too. I think
You know,
that's going to be. I think that's going to be a really good distance.
I do. I like, and I remember when they did the toughest before, the 8 hour night ones. Those were cool. But I always thought like a regular 8 hour event. Now, I mean, obviously super endurance, and then but afterwards, you're not quite obliterated. You could still have a party, and you can still celebrate, and you can still, you know what I mean? I like the 8 hour time.
Yeah, it's a good distance for sure. World's toughest at the end, everyone's pretty much dead, and then if they do the whole celebration and everything the day after. But with 8 hour, you can still do something right after.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that'd be interesting. That'd be good to see. And there's a lot of big names going for that.
Yeah, it seems like it. Sounds
Yeah.
like everyone wants to be there. So
Well, it's good. One thing definitely is good is you brought the world's toughest crown back to Canada. We haven't had it for a
that's
little while,
right.
so it's good to have it back where it
Because
belongs.
yeah, Atkins and Lindsay were doing cool things over in Greece.
What did you think of that race? What do you think of the tri? I think the trifecta one is one of the most interesting Spartan races going.
It seems like an amazing course, but I didn't see the coverage. I want to watch the coverage from it from this year, but I've watched a little bit from past years, and it looks awesome.
So they only showed the beast this year. You can only see the beast, so it's just the one race. But yeah, the course looks great. For the most part, the coverage is very good. They get a couple of times where they, lose signal as is such, but coverage is pretty good. Um, and yeah, it's different. It's interesting. It looks like a very big pomp and circumstance event. It looks like a destination race that you'd want to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a bucket list race to go race in Sparta.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. What do you think about next year, Central Florida for World's Toughest Mudder? They haven't really said where. I have my thoughts as to where I think it's going to be.
Okay.
So they said Central Florida. Matt, OCR Obstacle Racing Media, reported Orlando area, which to me says Kissimmee, which is just a little bit west of Orlando, about 40 minutes outside of Orlando. But Tough Mudder had events there quite often. And so it makes sense to me they'd go back there. But if they do it there, I did a Tough Mudder there once, and it was the flattest Tough Mudder I ever did.
Oh really?
And it was funny because I did it right after coming off doing one at Mount St. Louis. So the
Yeah.
difference was quite nice. I'm like, oh, this is really easy.
It's and most likely going to be warm overnight, but I mean, you never know sometimes.
I think you're pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, when it's warm like that overnight, that makes a big difference. This past one I ran I ran the entire event just in shorts. I didn't have to put any neoprene on
Mhm.
um, for my legs. And then I just had mostly wore just a windproof jacket. And then like maybe in the middle of the night, I put on a neoprene top,
Yeah.
and then the jacket on top of that. And I was comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard a lot of people say that the weather was pretty good this year. I mean, I know there were still some people who got really cold. It always happens. I got
Yeah.
cold in the desert. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
this was, yeah, the weather when this one looked nice. And hats off to OCR Report. They did a really good job on the coverage. I mean, as well as you can cover an event like that, they did a great job, and it was good to see. Um, Francesca, that girl, I think she's probably the best commentator in OCR. I don't like, she just goes, and goes. They did a great job. So hats
Fantastic.
off
It's
to them.
not easy to cover a 24-hour event. So yeah, hats off to them.
No, and I'm even wearing my obstacle running adventure shirt right now here. So that's there we go.
Nice.
Part, part of their jam. So you
Love
say
it.
High Rocks is next. Sadly, we will not see you at Deca Worlds in Dallas. I was hoping you were going to go that one, but
Yeah, I would have liked to go, but I only get to try out Deca Strong. That was the only event I got to do. So I would have liked to do a mile or Deca Fit, but just didn't get the chance to. So
hopefully,
maybe next year.
yeah. Well, there's lots of them, and I think more and more we're getting around here, so the events happen more and more. Um, it'll be a lot of fun. But
You'll
so
be there, right?
yeah, we'll be there. I got four
Awesome.
races in, so which honestly I'm thinking is a little much for me. I'm normally a one and done kind of guy, but be doing fit relay, mile
But
relay.
it's over 3 days, right?
Yeah, it's over 3 days. Over 3 days. So
Oh, you'll be good.
yeah,
And
fit
you
and
were
and
you were running around rabbiting too, doing
yeah,
coverage.
yeah, exactly. So I will be rabbiting this time, but I have kind of a different strategy. I'm not chasing. I'm gonna like we're gonna rock
You're
the
not going to run laps with people? Oh, come
gonna
on.
rock the corners there. But yeah, we got the fit relay, the mile relay. So Bethany and I are doing the mile relay together. Then I have my age group strong, and then Bethany and I as well are doing the strong relay. And then my fit I'm doing with Jeff Fisher. So we're
That's
have fun.
awesome. That
It's
would
gonna
be
be a
so
good time.
fun.
It'll be a good time.
The team format for that looks really fun too. I'd like to try that one day.
The relays are so high paced. Like it is such
Yeah.
red lined, especially I want to say the mile. I want to say the mile, especially just you're red lined the whole time. You get maybe 30 seconds while your partner's doing their thing, and then you're just boom, all out. And then it's so much fun. It's so exciting. I
I think
can't
it looks
wait.
fun. I like the idea of hammering stations like that. Like doing like ski erg and row is like doing it at like the race pace is like feels kind of slowish, but like
Yeah.
to actually do it in a relay format where you're hammering those, that seems really fun.
Well, when you were beside a guy like Mike Stankovic and he's hitting 117 on the skier for a little while, like just
Yeah.
you
About
know
to pull the machine over.
yeah, or you're beside Bubbles and he does a 17-second 25 cal and you're just people are just hauling. The machines are shaking. They're going so bad. But yeah, I'm looking forward because I mean we've seen the fit. We've done lots of fit relays with big groups of people, but we've never got a chance to see like a mile relay or a strong relay where you got 10 teams going at once. And I think that's going to be really something to see. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll definitely tune in.
Absolutely, absolutely. So so like I said, next event, you're probably looking at High Rocks. You're going for something like that. Are you set to, like I said, do you have one plan where you're going to try to qualify for one of the majors? Because I assume that's the goal. Get into one, get a time that qualifies you for the majors.
Yeah. Well, main goal is go sub 60. Getting the major would be an awesome bonus. I mean, I'm gonna shoot for that. Why not? Um, but if I don't get into the major, I'm looking at they announced a Go Ruck division event for it. They're gonna do a championship in March. And that looks really fun. I want to try that.
What you should do is do the GoRuck team division with you and Jarrett Newby.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Good record setting time right there.
Wait, for High Rocks, you have to run with that guy too. So I have to run with him.
Yeah,
We
yeah, you
wouldn't
got to
get the
run with
trade
Jarrett.
off.
He's a pretty good runner
Okay,
too.
that seems miserable now. No, that would be fun.
I think that'd be good. That'd be something to see. Um, yeah, so hopefully you get in there. What did you think? What do you think about the qualifying system there? Because quite frankly, right now, I think they have too many auto qualifiers and that they should have had these majors just be open. So then all these cool people we were talking about that are going to be in like High Rocks this weekend that are in a pro wave, they would have had their shot to qualify for Worlds.
Right. And well, it seems like most people that got in were people from that had set times already from last year. And it seems like basically nobody is qualifying this year. Well, Rylan just got in, but I think Rylan might be the only guy that
Only guy,
qualified.
and then Camilla Massa is like the only woman.
Yeah. And so they've definitely seemed to more standardize the courses, but more towards the longer end this year. So course time seems like, which is good. They're getting more consistent, but yeah, it's definitely harder to get into Elite 15.
Yeah, yeah. I hope next year that they. I mean, this year what I thought was a step in the right direction. I hope next year they take another similar step in the right direction. Because I
Yeah,
think eventually I would like to see people at majors be open. Anybody, let's just say anybody for men who's run a sub 65 can be in it. Anybody for women who's run a sub 70 can be in it. And then all those people go to the major, top three get into worlds. And then five different majors, top three at each one, or the roll down, whatever it is. And then simple, easy, fair.
yeah, agreed. But
Yeah.
this first major looks like it's going to be awesome. And after having done a few of these high roxes and raced with some of the guys that are in there, and I'm excited to see everything go down.
Well, I looked at it and I see, I mean, you for the women's, obviously Megan Lauren, very much the favorites. Where does it go from there, though? The women's field is wide open after that.
Yeah,
Because you got like Vivian, you've got Tara, you've got Alondra, you've got like there's a lot of great names that are going to be there for that.
yeah, you definitely have those two more towards the top, and then yeah, it could be it'd be so hard to predict where everything else lands. And for the guys field, there's so many strong dudes that like the it seems fairly wide open. Like it could be, yeah, I'm excited to see.
Well, you would think like realistically, you'd say, okay, Kent and Ronkovich are probably the favorites. But last year in Chicago, Kent and Ronkovich, neither one of them did very well. I shouldn't say neither one did very well, but neither one was on the podium.
Yeah,
And it could very well you could have a thing like those two could be the favorite, but you could have like a Megita, slip in a win again, Dylan Scott, Jonathan Wynn, like a lot of good runners coming over. You know, and like I said, it's probably wide open. I wouldn't be surprised if almost anybody in that race won, or at least ended up on the podium. Even Rich Ryan, right? Right, Rich Ryan just sneaks in on what is it? Who's seated like number 23, somewhere around there, and he's getting in. If he was to podium, would it really be that big a surprise? I don't think so.
yeah. I mean, there's so many factors in this kind of race that makes it really exciting. But I think it's going to be interesting at the sleds. Just with the excitement of the first major, I think some people are going to just go a little hot in the first sled, and it's going to be it'll be really interesting after that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that I think probably the smart people will be the ones who back off a little bit and just take that break that like go halfway, take a little break, all the way across, take a little break. Go the ones I think that break it up and don't get too caught up in taking the lead at that time is going to pay off.
Yeah, it's going to be a mix of some people that got through the sleds a little bit too fast and they're hanging on for dear life for the rest of the race, and then a bunch of hunters coming from behind chasing them down.
And we do have to shout out Maria Fetchik, who is the first Canadian to get to race in one of these top
Yeah,
15 majors. So
that's
awesome.
awesome. She was over in Spain. I think
Yes, she was.
sometime I was qualified there.
Super nice person. She deserves it. Running really well and getting better every time. So
That's awesome. I'm
yeah.
pumped. I'm gonna be rooting for her for sure.
All right, man. So anything else you want to talk about world's toughest mudder or your experience there, how you felt?
Oh man, it's just overall an amazing experience. As always, I love that event. I mean, even though I'm beat up, I'm already thinking about going back and doing it again next year. um, but yeah, even just like thinking about doing a wall ball right now makes my legs hurt. But sure I'll be back doing them again soon.
All right, and this is a classic question you got to ask every world toughest mudder champion. Tips for anyone going to do their first one in 2024.
Ooh, oh man, there's so many. I'd say the biggest thing is get out on some long runs, but test out your nutrition, find out really what you want to eat, because I think a lot of people's races get uh it falls apart with poor nutrition, and their body's just not used to handling things that they eat. That's how my race went last year.
Hmm.
I didn't have the best nutrition plan, so yeah, definitely figure that out, and that's going to make a huge difference in your race. Um, and talk to people on course too, like reach out, encourage others. That's honestly, like, I think Atkins made a post about that, how doing that will give you superpowers, and I 100% agree. and yeah, just take in the whole experience. It's amazing.
Atkins gave me great advice before when I did World's Toughest Mudder too. And he told me, your biggest enemy is chafe nipples. Avoid the chafe nipples.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had some bad chafing last year. This year I did not have any. It was great. Switched over to the what is it? The squirrel's nut butter stuff instead of
Nut
body
butter,
glide.
yeah.
Seemed to work great.
Awesome. All right. Talk to people, use nut butter, and you'll have a great WTM. Austin,
There you
thanks,
go.
man. It's so good to see you. And again, congratulations. Blown away. Absolutely amazing accomplishment. 105 miles. Great job.
Cheers. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Good to talk to you again.
You too.